b, this may not be equal to this integral of this limit function. So I hope everybody must have verified it. So now you may ask, what is the condition on this sequence of function so that this limit and integral must commute? So as I have seen in the case of continuity, that if this convergence is uniform rather than pointwise, if this is uniform, then the integral and this limit, they must commute. So this is the theorem. So let this Fn from A to B be a sequence of continuous functions. So let us assume that this extra condition of the continuity, that they are continuous functions, and this Fn converges to F uniformly, where this F is also a function from AB to R, then this F is integrable, and the limit of this function F over this interval AB, this must be equal to this limit of this integral Fnx dx. So this is the conclusion of the theorem, that if the sequence of function converges uniformly on the interval AB, so this notation means Fn converges to F uniformly on the whole interval AB, If it converges uniformly, then the integral of this limit function must be equal to limit of the integral of the sequence of function Fn. So now the proof. So the proof of the first part, so basically it's a combination of two parts. First you have to show that this F is integrable, and then you have to show that the value of integral is this much. So this first part is very easy, because you know the uniform limit of a sequence of function is continuous, so therefore F is continuous. You know a continuous function is integrable, so therefore F is integrable. So the first part is very easy. So we know that the limit of the uniform limit of a sequence of continuous functions on this closed interval AB is also continuous on this closed interval AB, and therefore integrable, because you know that any continuous function defined on a closed interval is integrable, and therefore
सर
yeah
सर कोई ज्वाइन करना चाहता है?
Oh, just a minute. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So therefore, this limit function is integrable. So the first part is done.
So sorry, sir, disturb you, sir. So can you repeat the proof part again?
Can you repeat the
proof statement?
Yeah. So we know that the uniform limit of a sequence of continuous function is also continuous. That I have already proved. ये आप लोगों को याद है कि नहीं? हमने प्रूव किया था कि अगर सीक्वेंस ऑफ फंक्शन के सभी मेंबर अगर कंटिन्यूअस फंक्शन है, if all the member of a sequence of function is continuous, then the limit function is also continuous, provided the sequence converges uniformly to the given function. Okay? ये हमने प्रूफ किया था कि नहीं? ये आप लोगों को याद है, पहला ही थ्योरम हमने प्रूव किया था, जो हमने बताया था कि यूनिफॉर्म कन्वर्जेंस की जरूरत क्यों पड़ी। वही हमने बताया था कि अगर कोई सीक्वेंस ऑफ फंक्शन किसी फंक्शन को केवल पॉइंट वाइज कन्वर्ज करता है, तो भले ही सीक्वेंस के हर मेंबर कंटिन्यूअस है, लेकिन लिमिट फंक्शन कोई जरूरी नहीं था कि वो कंटिन्यूअस हो। लेकिन अगर मेंबर सभी अगर कंटिन्यूअस हैं और ये कन्वर्जेंस अगर यूनिफॉर्म हो जाए, तो हमने प्रूव किया था कि इन जनरल यू कैन प्रूव दैट द लिमिट फंक्शन इज आल्सो कंटिन्यूअस। Second thing, you already know that any continuous function defined on a closed and bounded interval must be integrable. ये आप लोगों ने रीमान इंटीग्रल आप लोगों ने पढ़ा है कि नहीं? तो रीमान इंटीग्रल में आप लोगों ने ये पढ़ा होगा। मैं अभी उसका डेफिनेशन अभी बताऊंगा जस्ट इन द नेक्स्ट थ्योरम, बिकॉज हियर इट इज नॉट रियली रिक्वायर्ड, बट इन नेक्स्ट थ्योरम इट इज रिक्वायर्ड. So I will state, but for the moment you should know that a continuous function on a compact interval, on a closed and bounded interval must be integrable. Okay? So therefore, इसमें तो कुछ है ही नहीं है, पिछला ही थ्योरम का केवल अगर आप ये जान जाए कंटिन्यूअस फंक्शन क्लोज्ड इंटरवल इंटीग्रेबल है, तो therefore f is integrable. Therefore f is integrable. Therefore f is integrable. F is integrable. अब द सेकेंड पार्ट यह है कि ये जो लिमिट फंक्शन का इंटीग्रल है, दैट शुड बी इक्वल टू द लिमिट ऑफ द इंटीग्रल ऑफ द फंक्शंस एफ एन एक्स को जब आप इंटीग्रेट करेंगे तो आपको एक सीक्वेंस मिलेगी, और उस सीक्वेंस का जो लिमिट होगा, दैट यू हैव टू शो दैट एक्चुअली द इंटीग्रल ऑफ दिस लिमिट फंक्शन. ओके, इज इट ओके टू एवरीबॉडी?
यस सर.
ओके.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now I will show that this integral of AB, this fx dx minus integral of AB fn x dx, you have to show that this is equal to 0. This is equal to 0 whenever limit n tending to infinity. That is, for every epsilon there exists a natural number such that this difference must be less than epsilon whenever your natural number is greater than equal to n. So
Hello,
let us,
sir.
yeah.
कुछ स्टूडेंट ज्वाइन होने चाहिए.
कब तक ज्वाइन करेंगे लोग? या आप ये ज्वाइन करने वाला काम आप लोगों में कोई एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ले ले बीच में, अदरवाइज ये पूरा डिस्टर्बेंस करता है. या तो हमें ये दिखाना है कि ये जो है लिमिट n टेंडिंग टू इंफिनिटी, बेसिकली लेट अस राइट हियर, वी हैव टू शो दैट दिस इंटीग्रल ab fx dx, this is equal to limit n tending to infinity and integral a to b fn x dx. ये हमें दिखाना है. तो इसके लिए हम क्या करेंगे, हम ये दिखाएंगे कि फॉर एवरी पॉजिटिव एप्सिलॉन देयर एग्जिस्ट ए नेचुरल नंबर सच दैट फॉर एवरी n ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू n दिस क्वांटिटी मस्ट बी लेस देन एप्सिलॉन. दैट आई हैव टू शो. सो लेट अस एस्टिमेट दिस डिफरेंस. ये डिफरेंस क्या होता है ये पहले हम कैलकुलेट करें, और फिर हम उसी के अकॉर्डिंग अपने नेचुरल नंबर को कैलकुलेट करने की कोशिश करेंगे कि हमारा नेचुरल नंबर क्या आना चाहिए. सो दिस इज इक्वल टू आप ये इंटीग्रल की लीनियरिटी प्रॉपर्टी को जानते हो, सो दैट्स व्हाई यू कैन राइट दिस इज एग्जैक्टली इक्वल टू मॉडुलस ऑफ इंटीग्रल ab and this fx minus fnx fx minus fnx and you can write in a bracket and dx and then modulus. Is it okay to everybody? कुछ इसमें हमने केवल हमने इन दोनों को लिनियरिटी प्रॉपर्टी को यूज किया, इंटीग्रल की लिनियरिटी प्रॉपर्टी को, एंड यू कैन राइट दिस. नाउ दिस इज लेस देन इक्वल टू व्हाट? दिस इज लेस देन इक्वल टू दिस fx माइनस fnx. आपने इंटीग्रल जो लोग पढ़े होंगे रीमान इंटीग्रल, आपने उसमें एक रिजल्ट पढ़ा होगा कि a to b fx dx, the modulus of this integral is less than equal to this
Integral a to b mod fx into dx.
supremum of mod fx. सुप्रीमम इस fx की जो मैक्सिमम वैल्यू है, तो सुप्रीमम ऑफ दिस fx over x belongs to t. And because this AB is closed and bounded interval and f is continuous, this must be the maximum value of fx. So you can also write this maximum. So if your maximum value on this interval is say m, then this quantity is m into the length of the interval b minus. So here also this is the supremum of this mod fx minus fnx over this x belongs to the closed interval AB multiplied by b minus a. Right? Now, you know your sequence of function is uniformly convergent. So now since this fn uniformly converges, अभी आप 15-20 मिनट के बाद आइए. Since this fn uniformly converges to f, for given epsilon there exists a natural number such that whenever n greater than equal to n, this implies this fnx minus fx this is less than epsilon for all x in closed interval AB. So therefore this quantity for every x it is less than epsilon, therefore its supremum also less than, at most equal to epsilon. So this implies that this supremum of this fx minus fnx this, so maybe you can take yes, epsilon by 2 if you want, no problem at all. So you may take this supremum of this fx minus fnx is less than equal to epsilon by 2, and this is strictly less than epsilon, right? And because you have to multiply by this b minus a, if you want, you can also divide here by b minus a, because for every epsilon there is natural number. So for epsilon by 2 there is a natural number. So for epsilon by 2 b minus a there is also a natural number. So why not we write 2 into b minus a? So epsilon by 2 b minus a. Here I am interested in epsilon by 2 b minus, because for every positive epsilon there is some natural number to satisfy this condition. So therefore for epsilon by 2 b minus a there is also natural number to satisfy this condition. So therefore this is your, the supremum fx minus fnx is less than equal to epsilon by 2 into b minus a, and which is strictly less than epsilon upon b minus a. So now if you substitute this value here for every, so you may write this equation as equation number 1. So from 1 for n greater than equal to n, and any x belongs to this interval, so therefore you have written supremum, so no need to write supremum. So this modulus of, so for every n greater than, so maybe we erase this, and so for n greater than equal to n, this implies that this modulus of integral ab fx dx and minus ab fnx dx, this is strictly less than, this quantity is strictly less than epsilon upon b minus a, epsilon upon b minus a, and multiplied by b minus a, so therefore is equal to epsilon. So therefore for every epsilon you get a natural number n such that whenever n greater than equal to n, this quantity is strictly less than epsilon, and therefore this limit of this quantity must be equal to integral of fx dx. So this is the proof of the theorem. So this is done. Is it clear to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
या तो हम लोगों ने देखा कि अगर इस सीक्वेंस के हर एलिमेंट अगर कंटीन्यूअस फंक्शन है, तो जैसा कि आप जानते हैं कंटीन्यूअस फंक्शन किसी क्लोज्ड इंटरवल पे रीमान इंटीग्रेबल होता है, और इसका लिमिट फंक्शन भी कंटीन्यूअस होता है, फिर कंटीन्यूअस फंक्शन इंटीग्रेबल हो गया। तो न केवल ये लिमिट फंक्शन इंटीग्रेबल होगा, बल्कि इसके लिमिट की वैल्यू उन फंक्शंस के इंटीग्रल के लिमिट के इक्वल होगा। Now second result, you just generalize this result. So instead of taking the condition of continuity, let us assume each member is just integrable. So suppose each member of the sequence is integrable over AB. It may not continuous, because there are several functions which are not continuous but still integrable. So instead of taking this continuous function, let us relax this condition of continuity and assume that it is just integrable function. So if each member of the sequence is integrable, then show that this f is integrable, and again the value of integral is equal to limit of the integral of the function, sequence of function. So that's the very good result, and that's a good generalization what we actually want. So the next theorem, so let this fn be a sequence of function from AB to R is integrable on this closed interval AB, integrable for each n. Now assume this fn converges to a function f uniformly on this interval A. Then this limit function is also integrable and the value of this integral fx dx a to b, this is equal to limit a to b and fmx dx. The same kind of result, but the difference is in hypothesis. So earlier you have assumed that each member is continuous, but now it is only given that each member is integrable. So now you have to remember what is the definition of integrability of a function on AB. Every continuous function is integrable, so it is a larger class, but what is the actual definition? So before the proof, so let us write the definition of integrability of a function. So definition, आप सभी लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा ग्रेजुएशन क्लासेस में, केवल इसको मैं कर रहा हूं. Let us revise the definition. So suppose f is a function defined on the closed interval AB to R, and let us take a partition P of this interval AB, say A is equal to x0, x1, x2 dot xn, which is equal to B. And with the condition this first point x0 is equal to A. The last point is your xn is equal to B. And in between, there are points like x1. So x0 is less than x1, x1 is less than x2, and so on. And here is a point, say, j minus 1 and xj. And this j lies between 1 to n. J lies between 1 to n. So this such a set P is called partition of the closed interval AB. So this P is a partition. Suppose P is a partition. So now, suppose this capital MJ is the supremum of this fx for this x belongs to xj minus 1 xj. This closed interval xj minus 1 xj. And similarly, this small mj, this is the infimum of this fx. This x belongs to xj minus 1 xj. So suppose this capital MJ is the supremum and small mj is the infimum. Right? Now, what you do, you construct this. So this xj minus 1, this mj, so suppose your graph of function like this. So say the supremum is here. So this value is mj. So mj, this capital mj, and you multiply by this length of this subinterval xj minus 1 xj. So you multiply this mj by the length of the subinterval xj minus 1. Right? And you sum over all j. J varies from 1 to n. And call this as U, F, and partition P. So this is called upper sum for the function f over the partition P. This is called upper sum. You must have seen all these things, upper sum. And similarly, you construct this lower sum, LFP. So this is equal to j is equal to 1 to n and a small mj, and again you multiply by the length of the subinterval xj minus 1. So this is called the lower sum. And then you have proved a certain small remarks that for any partition, this upper sum, because it is the sum of supremum into the length of the interval. So length of the interval is almost everywhere same. In here, in fact, also. But here you have multiplied by the supremum of the function over the subinterval, and here you have multiplied by the infimum of the function over the subinterval. So therefore, this must be bigger than this. So the first observation is that for any partition P, this upper sum is greater than equal to lower sum. This is the first observation. And second observation, that if you consider another partition, say P dash, which is actually a superset of P. So this is called refinement of the partition. So if you introduced some more points in this partition, so this is a refinement of the partition. So for any refinement, what you expect? So it is a proof, it is a fact. If you want, you can prove it. So this was the first remark. And second remark, that this upper sum UFP, this is always greater than equal to the upper sum for its refinement. And similarly, for the lower sum LFP, is less than equal to LFP dash. LFP dash. For its refinement, so whenever you refine a partition, the value of lower sum will increase and the value of upper sum will decrease. So what will happen here? Just see, suppose here is your upper sum UFP and here is somewhere lower sum. So lower sum is always less than, and when you refine the partition, suppose your upper sum is decreasing, lower sum is increasing. Again refine, upper sum in decreasing, lower sum decreasing. So you can expect at some moment of time these should be equal. So UFP and LFP should be equal. So this is the moment when you call this value, when upper sum and lower sum are equal, you call this is the integral or Riemann integral of the function over the interval A. So mathematically you can say that for any positive epsilon, if you are able to find a partition P such that this UFP minus LFP, the modulus of this is strictly less than epsilon. So we say that F is said to be integrable. So let us take this as a definition. So F is integrable if for every positive epsilon, there exists a partition P such that the modulus of this UFP minus LFP, this is less than epsilon. So for every positive epsilon, there must be some partition such that this modulus of UFP minus LFP is less than epsilon, and it means that UFP is going to be equal to LFP for that partition, and that equal value is called the Riemann integral of the function. So whenever you have to show that some function is integrable, you have to show that the difference of its upper and lower sum must be less than as small as you want. If this is possible, then you say that the function is integrable. So now let us prove our theorem. So the first condition that your each member Fn is so you have already two things. First thing is that each member Fn is integrable on this closed interval AB, and so this is your first hypothesis. And the second hypothesis that this Fn अभी बस 10 मिनट में छोड़ो, हाँ, and this Fn, this uniformly converges to F. So you have these two ingredients, and with the help of these ingredients, first you have to show that this limit function is integrable, and then the second part that this integral is equal to limit of the integral of this sequence of functions. So for this part, again, just like the previous case, you have to show that no, not previous case. So you have to show precisely this F is integrable, that there is a partition of the interval AB such that this condition holds. So this you have to show. So for this, so let us do something from here. So each Fn is integrable. It means each Fn is integrable. So it means there is a partition P. Such that U Fnp minus L Fnp is less than epsilon. So there is a partition P such that this mod is less than epsilon for every natural number n. So since Fn is integrable, there exists for epsilon positive, there exists a partition. There exists a partition P of AB such that yeah. Yeah. So for given epsilon, there is a partition P of AB such that this upper Riemann sum, this FNP minus LFNP, this is less than epsilon. So let us assume this is epsilon and name it as equation number 1. But if you need, you can put here epsilon by 2 or whatever you want. And because this is always greater than this, this is always greater than this, should you take this as, you remove this positive, this, can you remove this modulus sign? So let us take this as the modulus. Yeah. So U FNP minus LFNP less than epsilon. And the second thing, this Fn minus F, Fn uniformly converges to F on AB. So this implies for the same epsilon, so for epsilon positive, there exists, a natural number n such that whenever this n greater than equal to n and x belongs to this interval AB, this implies that this Fnx minus Fx, this is less than epsilon for every n greater than equal to n. So this is your equation number 2. Yeah. So maybe what you do here, so maybe you divide this epsilon by epsilon over b minus a, because I know that it will be needed. So this epsilon upon b minus a. Right? So for every x this is true. So its supremum is also less than epsilon by b minus a. So therefore, that is for n greater than equal to n, the supremum of this Fnx minus Fx, this is also less than epsilon upon b minus a. This is also less than epsilon upon b minus a.
लेस और इक्वल टू नहीं होगा?
Less, you are right. So maybe you write epsilon less equal to, then I think you may divide here by, you divide by, I think 2 is more needed. So maybe 2 and 2, 4. You divide by 4b minus a. So this is less than equal to 4b minus a, right? Less than equal to 4b minus a. Right? Then what we do, so can you write here this supremum of fx is less than equal to supremum of this fnx and plus epsilon upon 4b minus a. Is it okay? Supremum of, so this is a kind of difference between, if you just forget the supremum, this says the difference between fnx and fx is less than equal to, for example, if suppose here, if x minus y mod is less than, say, r, right? So what it means? It means this x is always less than, if we are suppose equal to, less than equal to, so this x less than equal to y plus r and x greater than equal to y plus r. Is it okay? So similarly you can also write for y also. This y less than equal to x plus r and greater than equal to x minus r. Here is minus. Are you getting my point? Mod x minus y less than equal to r, it means the difference between, the distance between x and y is at most r. So therefore, x is always less than equal to y plus r, and similarly x greater than equal to y minus r. And similarly for, you can also write for y, that y is less than equal to x plus r and greater than equal to x minus r. Is it okay, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So similarly,
Yes, sir.
so supremum of fx is less than equal to supremum of fnx and plus epsilon over. So you first you can write this fx less than equal to this fnx plus epsilon upon 4b minus a, and then you take the supremum of both the sides. So supremum of fx. So maybe at this moment you don't write this supremum. Maybe at this previous stage you just write that this fnx minus fx is simply less than equal to this, and for every x in AB, so this comma, this x belongs to AB, and in next step you write this fx, therefore fx less than equal to fnx plus epsilon by 4b minus a, and then you take the supremum of both the sides. So supremum of fx is less than equal to supremum of fnx plus epsilon by 4b minus a. Right? Now you multiply both sides by these subintervals xi minus 1 and xi. So here is your say interval xi minus 1 xi. So you multiply both sides by the length of this subinterval xi minus 1. Then what happened? So in left side you get the supremum of this fx into xi minus 1 is less than equal to supremum of fnx. Why not you multiply by xn minus xn minus, because here you have written fn, so it's better to multiply both sides by xn minus 1, because you need the same subinterval where it is defined. So this I think something. Is it okay? No, it's okay. It's okay. So this xi minus 1 and plus this epsilon upon plus epsilon upon 4 plus epsilon upon 4 b minus a and xi minus 1. Now what you do? So this is supremum of this fx on the whole interval AB. So if you need the supremum of fx on just this subinterval, it must be less than equal to supremum of fx on the whole interval AB. So here the supremum is simply x on the whole interval AB. So this must be bigger than equal to the supremum of fx on x belongs to this subinterval xi minus 1, xi and xi minus 1 into this length of the subinterval. कोई आ गया क्या? अभी कोई नहीं है? कोई नहीं आ रहा? अच्छा अरे बस मैं 2 मिनट में छोड़ रहा. Okay. So the supremum of the function on just this subinterval is less than equal to supremum of the function on the whole sub. So therefore this inequality holds. So therefore, and similarly here also the supremum of fnx on the interval on the subinterval. In fact, for any function, here is your subinterval xi minus 1 xi, and here is your interval AB. So if you take the supremum of any function on this subinterval, the smaller interval will be less than supremum on the larger interval, right? So if you add both the sides, for I varies from 1 to n, then what will happen? Then you will see that this left side will be this upper Riemann sum of the function f for the partition P, and this right side, what happened for this right side? So this right side, is it equal to this u of fn over partition P and plus, here you see when you add this epsilon upon 4b minus a will remain same, and you have to just add xi minus 1 means xn minus 1 plus xn minus 1 plus xn minus 2, and finally if you add you will simply get b minus a, and b minus a will cancel out, so you remain with epsilon upon 4. Yeah. And similarly, if you do calculation for lower Riemann sum, you will have this LFP plus epsilon upon 4. This will be greater than equal to LFNP. And now if you subtract these two, you have this UFP.
Sir, we have class.
Yeah. Yes, any question?
No, sir, we have computer class.
Okay, yeah. So I'm just writing the last line and then I will finish on the next one. So if you subtract these two equations, this is less than equal to UFNP minus LFNP and plus epsilon by 2. So let us finish at this moment and we'll complete on next one. Just 3 or 4 lines or more, but I will finish on the next one. Okay? So let us end today. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.